shouldn't really be here. Actually, correction. This young chap was never going to be here. Yeah, that's me around 2-3 years old. Now, as you notice, I'm of a certain ethnic, cultural origin. And growing up, there was only really 5 professions I could have really had. Really. And I'm sure you can guess what those 5 are, but I'll humour you for a sec. So can you guess the number 1 profession that, according to my upbringing and my culture and my ethnicity, that I should have? Absolutely, doctor. Doctor's number 1. Why doctor? Well, it meets 2 basic fundamental criteria for our culture. 1, status. What better profession could you have than to heal people around the world and be the source of all that knowledge? Plus, it's a great profession and you earn good money. The second profession, can you guess? Dentist. Not really dentist, because that's sort of a mini doctor, isn't it? Only one bit they do. But it's accountancy. And why accountancy? Because you're counting other people's money and you're counting your own money. It's a great profession to have, and it's very noble. The third profession that, according to my culture, was in the top 3 is an engineer. The thing with an engineer is it meets several criteria. You can be a mechanical engineer, you can be a civil engineer, you can be a structural engineer. Choice within a choice. The thing, though, that is many, many people didn't really know what engineering was about. They knew they made stuff, but it was really good. So can you guess the last 2? The fourth one sort of meets 2 criteria. The fourth profession is a pharmacist. So the thing with a pharmacist is you're sort of not good enough to be a doctor, but it's all right, it's a great profession. But also, it meets the 5th criteria. And this is why I want to hand it to you. What is the ultimate profession that if you weren't able to get a degree or a college, that you would have? Can you guess?
Politician.
Not politician, it's a shopkeeper. And we all know that, right? Your own business. The thing with a shopkeeper is always a corner shop, because you've got 2 markets. You've got the North Market and you've got the East Market. So growing up, I was led to believe that there were my choices. But no one ever asked me, growing up, what did you want to do? No one asked me. Now, if they did ask me, I probably would have said, I didn't know. I don't know what I want to. But the environment I grew up in, both culturally, society, and within the school, didn't facilitate getting the best out of me. And this is why I believe entrepreneurial skills need to be taught in schools. And I'll explain what entrepreneurship is in a moment. So I don't really believe that the schooling system, not the teachers, the schooling system is not fit for purpose. Because if you think about the way schools are structured, it was developed in the 1800s when we required individuals to perform standard tasks for a standard living for a standard wage. But if you think of the number of jobs that were available so many years ago, they're performed by machines now. You go into supermarkets and you've got the tills by machine. You don't need a cashier there no more. So when we look at the system, is it allowing our children, is it allowing our individuals to grow to the individuals they want to be? You know, we're asking them to learn facts at a certain age. All 8-year-olds need to know a certain fact. But is that the case? So when we talk about schooling, we're talking about entrepreneurship. Now, when I talk about entrepreneurship, I want to go back to the original definition of the word. I'm not proposing that we teach everybody to start their own business. So what does the word entrepreneur actually mean? Now, some of you may know it's a French word, and it actually means to undertake. It's an undertaking. That's what entrepreneurship is about. It's not about business. Now, I believe there's no greater undertaking than your life's purpose, the thing that you want to do. And if you think about how entrepreneurs act, they look at the world as an opportunity. They look at the world at what can I contribute? And what better learning skill can you give than children? So what do you want to do in the world? What do you want to be? And I believe entrepreneurial skills shouldn't be just for those who want to start a business. It should be available to everybody. Those who want to be employed, those who want to go on a vocation, those who want to be an artist. Think about those people who go on X Factor and go to Britain's Got Talent. The nerves they must feel when they're going to be judged on their talent. How they're going to deal with failure. How they're going to deal with getting up and going for the next audition. How they're going to get to the top. Anybody at the top of their profession has entrepreneurial skills. But the way the school and society is structured at the moment, it's encouraging you to be the same. It's asking you that, you know what, at 8 years old, this is what you need to know. In schools, you say, don't be different, otherwise you'll be moleculed. There'll be loads of other speakers here talking about when they tried to be different, they were ridiculed. You know, no one wants to put their hand up. No one wants to be different. It's about this is where you need to be at every juncture. It encourages you to be the same. The system also encourages you to be secure, i.e., guess what? You need to pass an exam. It doesn't encourage failure. Because if you pass your GCSEs, you can go to college. If you go to college, you can go to university. If you go to university, you can get a job. And if you can get a job, you can pay your mortgage. And then you're secure. Great. Oh, and then you can think about what you really want to do. We don't encourage our children to take risks. Entrepreneurs, their mindset is about taking calculated risks, about what they want to do. What would be the impact in schools if we actually encourage children to do what they want to do and not be worried about failure? The third aspect is to be safe. When you ask a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old what they want to do, the world's their oyster. Astronaut, singer, actor, politician, they want to do anything. But then you ask a 14, 15, 16-year-old, all of a sudden their dreams, their ambitions get a little bit tailored. And their ambitions are based on the people that are around them. So it's about being secure. Don't take a risk. Because if you have those ambitions, you're more likely to be okay. You're not going to get upset. So the thing is, the school system is standing still. If you think of all the professions, all the industries around the world, the advancement, if you think of aviation, the big planes we have now, you can't have that without expanded thinking. You think about the iPhone that you have now. There's nothing you can't do here. But if you think about the school system, it stood still for 1,000 years. Why are we still teaching our children the same way we're teaching them 300-400 years ago? Because the world is very different now. We have a world now where you don't need to know just facts. You don't need to know this is what you need to know. Information is sparse. It's about creativity. Does anybody know what this number is? 9.3.2. Now, based on last night's research, this is the latest iPhone software update. So we have people in some buildings up there somewhere, and they're sending out updates to your phones, to update your app, to update your iPhone and your Android phone. Why? Because they've identified that we can make them work more efficiently. When's the last time you updated your thinking? When's the last time you allowed the schools to think in a different way, to encourage the children to think in a different way? We're still training our kids in the same way as we were 1,000 years ago. So is there any proof of this? Luckily there is. Because as I say earlier, we're not talking about encouraging kids to start businesses. It's about thinking in an entrepreneurial way so they become more employable. So research done by Martin Lucas is a Swedish professor. And he talks about entrepreneurship in education. And this is a quote, that teaching entrepreneurship can trigger deep learning and instill engagement, joy, motivation, confidence, and feelings of relevancy amongst students. It also has the capacity to impact society at large by creating jobs, economic success, and innovation in individuals. What better case than allowing entrepreneurial skills to be at the core and foundation of education? I can't think of a better thing to do. Now, my background in psychology, I've worked in academia, I've worked in the corporate world, and now I'm running my own business. And I can say without a hesitation that if I knew what I knew now around how to run a business and going out there and taking risks when I was a psychology lecturer, I'd be a much better lecturer. So what is entrepreneurial skills? Well, some might say it's soft skills, some might say it's emotional intelligence skills. There's a whole host of things. I mean, entrepreneurship allows you to communicate effectively, to listen effectively, to network, to hustle, to negotiate, to be able to speak in front of a crowd, to present, to be able to look at individuals and say, what's the capacity in you? How can you be the best that you can? That's what entrepreneurship is about. But I want to focus on three things that bring out, the three skills that bring out in individuals when you focus on entrepreneurial skills. And the first one is curiosity. What better thing to be curious than to be compliant? When's the last time, what will be the impact in our schools if we encourage every single point of juncture to our kids to be curious, to ask questions, not to sit down and shut up, but to ask questions. Not to say make sure that you wear the same uniform or come in a certain time, but to be curious. What will be the impact if we encourage imagination, not just during childhood, but throughout our lives, and not be mocked for it? So it's not just about facts. Facts are easy now. We've got Google now. We can Google any facts we want. So is it about learning facts, or is it about getting the individual to explore their imagination to the point where they believe they can do anything they want? And finally, creativity. And creative, the single skill that, for me, if I wasn't creative, I still wouldn't have a business. If I wasn't creative, I wouldn't give the kind of results I got when I was a psychology lecturer, and not to be regimented. It's not about order. The brain wasn't functioning like that. Human beings won't function like that. So, can this be possible? You know, we have a school system. There's not a teacher I've not met that doesn't want to change the world. But they get into the system and it's drained out of them. There's not an individual I've not met, not a parent I've met that said, you know what, something needs to happen in schools. But the conversation's been going for 50, 60, 70, 100 years. Can it change? Is it possible to change the education system so we encourage more entrepreneurial approach to life? There's a report recently that there's going to be 20 billion entrepreneurs, 20 million entrepreneurs by year 2020. We've got to encourage this skill. The society can't, we can't encourage entrepreneurship in spite of schools. It's got to be because of schools. So is it possible? 806. So what does it take? It takes a revolution. So what is 806? Well, if you take the Penrose method, a mathematician, he demonstrated that how to create a movement with this number of people. What is the significance of this number? Approximately, there's about 65 million individuals in the UK. 1% of that, 650,000, the square root of 1% of the population, you can start a movement. All it takes is 806 people singing from the same hymn sheet, proposing the same ideas, that we can start installing an entrepreneurial approach into schools, allowing our kids to think in a way, to be creative, and use their imagination so they can live the life they want. And that's why I believe we should have entrepreneurial skills in schools. Thank you.